Vin Diesel built an empire on Brotherhood and family. But behind the fame lies a tragedy he can't escape. When Paul Walker died in 2013, something inside Diesel broke forever. He named his daughter after Paul. He keeps an empty chair on every movie set. Every November 30th, he stops filming completely. But that's not the worst part. A lawsuit from 2023 threatens to destroy everything he built. His former assistant claims something happened in an Atlanta hotel room in 2010. Diesel's lawyers are fighting back, but the damage may already be done. On July 18, 1967, in Alameda County, California, a baby named Mark Sinclair came into the world with no father listed on the birth certificate, just a blank space. His mother, Delora, was a white astrologer with Scottish roots, but she wouldn't say who the father was, not even years later. All Diesel ever learned was that his parents' relationship would have been illegal in parts of the country before 1967. That meant one thing: his father was likely a man of color, but that mystery, that silence, became part of who he was. He once joked that his racial identity was like Schrodinger's cat, neither one thing nor the other until someone opened the box. But he never did. Even today, he's never taken a DNA test. He says he doesn't want the mystery solved. He didn't grow up in the suburbs. Instead, he and his twin brother, Paul, lived in a strange, echoing place called Westbeth. An old industrial complex in Greenwich Village turned into affordable housing for artists. It was a maze of paint-splattered walls, wild costumes, broken elevators, and neighbors like Miles Davis and Diane Arbus. Their stepfather, Irving Vincent, was a black theater director, and he was the reason they got in. Diesel was just a kid, but the environment shaped him. At age 7, Diesel and his friends broke into a local theater with crayons, planning to graffiti the place. But instead of calling the cops, the theater director handed them scripts and $20 bills. On one condition: come back every day for rehearsal. Diesel said yes. The play was called Dinosaur Door, and he played a prehistoric gatekeeper with no front teeth and a voice so deep it shocked adults. But childhood wonder didn't pay the bills. By 17, he was fighting every night. From 1984 to 1993, he worked as a bouncer at Manhattan clubs like Tunnel and Mars. He wasn't throwing out frat boys, he was dealing with gang members, mafia affiliates, and drug dealers. He later said he got into hundreds of fights. Some who worked with him said it was in the thousands. One hospital near 11th Avenue even used Diesel as a nickname for reports of a large, bald bouncer. That nickname stuck. Vin came from his stepfather's surname, Vincent. Diesel came from co-workers teasing him about his non-stop energy. "You run on diesel fuel, man." And so, Mark Sinclair slowly became Vin Diesel. He tried college, enrolled at Hunter in 1987, majoring in English. By day, he studied literature. By night, he bounced drunks off club walls and sold light bulbs over the phone. But school didn't last. In 1990, just 3 credits away from graduating, he dropped out. He had read about Robert Rodriguez making El Mariachi for $7,000. Diesel figured he could do that too. Professors begged him to stay. One even mailed him a folder of rejection letters with a note: finish school. He didn't. But decades later, the same college gave him an honorary doctorate, proving that sometimes dropping out leads you exactly where you're meant to go. At Tunnel nightclub, his identity became something sacred. Staff weren't allowed to use real names for safety. Diesel went by Vin D. No social security number, no personal info on the roster. Just the name, Diesel. Patrons thought it described his build. It added to the myth, and Diesel leaned into it. That nightclub life made him a ghost when he wanted to be. It also made him crave privacy. Even now, he keeps his homes under company names. The need to stay hidden started there, in those smoky rooms, long before the cameras ever found him. His body, built more in alleys than gyms. He didn't have a fancy trainer. He had kegs and push-ups on sticky floors. He benched beer barrels, did reps between shifts, grew from 165 to 205 pounds in 5 years. His muscles came from surviving, not sculpting. He once broke a bone in his hand during a fight and turned it into strength by squeezing stress balls during recovery. When Universal later described him as looking like a nightclub tank, they weren't wrong. He was built for impact long before action scenes, but Hollywood didn't open its arms. His first on-screen role was in Awakenings, a blink-and-miss appearance as an uncredited hospital orderly in a film that got nominated for Best Picture. That was it. For the next 5 years, he didn't land a single single speaking part. He couldn't get cast. He was too mixed to be white, not visibly black, not Latino enough. No one knew what to do with him. Casting directors told him to pick a side. He didn't. He wrote instead. In one all-night sprint in 1994, he pounded out a script about an actor stuck between identities. He called it multifacial. He had no money, so he shot it for $3,000 in just 3 days. Scored it himself because he couldn't afford music. At first, no one cared. Early feedback was cold. He almost quit editing. His stepfather, the man who'd raised him, stepped in and pushed him to finish. That little push mattered. The film premiered at the Anthology Film Archives. Then it got into Cannes. Crowds packed the room. For the first time, the industry saw him. 1 year earlier, his mother had given him a paperback book for Christmas. He was broke. She couldn't afford much else. The title was Feature Filmmaking at Used Car Prices. Diesel devoured it in one sitting. The lesson was simple. Stop asking for permission. Just make something. Vin Diesel had $3,000 in his bank account and a dream that wouldn't leave him alone. In 1994, he spent it all on a short film he wrote, directed, produced, scored, and starred in. 21 minutes of raw ambition called Multifacial. He shot it over 3 sleepless days, telling the story of a struggling actor who never quite fit in, always switching voices, always getting turned away. "We don't know what box to put you in," the casting directors would say. Diesel knew the feeling too well. He was 27, broke, and sleeping in a borrowed hostel bed, not the competition section, but close enough. His name showed up on the non-competition slate, the kind of program where the festival quietly scouts new blood. People noticed. They whispered about the film's price tag. It cost less than a single gown seen on the red carpet, and murmured about this guy who had done everything himself. And when the applause came, it wasn't just out of politeness. Someone from Paramount handed him a card and whispered 5 words. Spielberg would love this. Back in Los Angeles, that prophecy took shape. Steven Spielberg watched Multifacial during lunch. 21 minutes later, he didn't just admire it, he picked up the phone. He told his team at DreamWorks, "Find this kid for me today." A few months later, Diesel's pager buzzed. The number was from a 310 area code. The voice on the other end was Spielberg himself. He said he had rewritten a part in Saving Private Ryan just for Diesel, and then he scolded him gently. "It's a crime you're not directing more." Diesel would later say that voicemail felt like winning an Oscar. That rewritten role became Private Adrian Caparzo. Diesel only had 2 major scenes, and he was on screen for less than 12 minutes. But that was all it took. He played a tough, grimy soldier from the Bronx who tries to help a little French girl and gets shot for it. It wasn't just action. There was a moment where he clutches a letter meant for his father as the blood pours out. It hit people. Critics noticed. Spielberg even used one of Diesel's suggestions for a special camera angle in the final trailer. A tiny roll turned into a spotlight, and offers began rolling in. Less than 2 years later, Diesel had booked Pitch Black and was getting quoted at $2 million per film. Saving Private Ryan opened in the summer of 1998 and made nearly $500 million worldwide. It became the highest-grossing war movie of its time. For Diesel, it marked a line in the sand. Before that film, his combined screen time hadn't even pulled in $500,000 at the box office. After it, just his next 3 movies earned over $500 million combined. He went from being an unknown to one of Forbes' highest-paid actors in just 4 years. All of it traced back to that one short film he shot with maxed-out credit cards. When Universal gave the green light to The Fast and the Furious in 2001, they didn't know what they were starting. The budget was modest, $38 million, and they weren't expecting a franchise. Diesel and Paul Walker opened the film to a shocking $40 million weekend, and by the time it left theaters, it had earned 4 times its cost in the US alone. The global box office passed $200 million. Universal realized too late that they hadn't locked Diesel in for more than 1 movie. But now, the studio couldn't ignore the math. One street racing thriller had just created a $100 million action star. So when it came time for the sequel, they offered Diesel $25 million to return. He said no. The script felt hollow to him, just a quick money grab without heart. He walked away. Nobody did that back then. Big money, sure bet, guaranteed box office, and he passed. Without Diesel, the sequel made less money despite a flashier opening. He had made his point. Dominic Toretto wasn't just a name, and Diesel wasn't just muscle. He wanted to build mythology, not just drive fast. Then came the most unlikely trade in Hollywood. In 2006, he made a brief cameo in Tokyo Drift. It lasted less than a minute, but he didn't ask for money. Instead, he asked for something else: full rights to his sci-fi character, Riddick. He turned a 30-second garage scene into full ownership of an entire franchise. That trade paid off, eventually bringing in over $250 million across multiple films. Most actors ask for points. Diesel asked for the future. By the time Fast and Furious, the fourth film, hit theaters in 2009, Diesel wasn't just the face of the franchise. He was producing it too. His name was on the credits, not just as a star, but as someone shaping the vision. He had say over the casting, the script, even the trailers. That film exploded at the box office, pulling in $72 million on opening weekend and over $360 million worldwide. From then on, Diesel wasn't just playing Toretto. He was building the Fast universe. And it worked. Just counting the core 8 films where Diesel's character leads the story, the total global box office is more than $2 billion, not even counting spin-offs. That averages to nearly $300 million per film. Furious 7 alone passed the billion-dollar mark and stayed in the global top 10 for years. Social media played its part too. Diesel, with nearly 400 million followers across platforms, teased out hints and hype in real time, making his films feel like global events before they even opened. In 2012, everything almost fell apart. The third Riddick movie was in the middle of production in Canada when the final chunk of its $34 million budget suddenly vanished. A key bond collapsed at the last second, and without it, the entire set was at risk. Hundreds of crew members were preparing to pack up and leave, but instead of letting it all crash, Vin Diesel took a gamble few actors would ever consider. He mortgaged his own home to save the film. The same house he bought for $4.7 million back in 2005 became collateral for a short-term loan. If things didn't turn around fast, he'd lose his roof and maybe everything else. For nearly 2 weeks, Diesel lived with that possibility hanging over him. The clock was ticking, the house was on the line, and every missed payment brought foreclosure closer. What kept the dream alive wasn't luck. International pre-sales came in, just enough, and Universal stepped up with a late cash injection in February. But make no mistake, the only reason cameras kept rolling was because Diesel refused to quit. Director David Tohey later admitted that Diesel never expected to put his own money into it. But when the banks froze up, he had no choice. He became the film's unofficial emergency investor, fronting millions just to keep the lights on and the cast and crew working. 7 years of script development were at stake. If they didn't finish in time, the rights would revert to Universal, and the entire effort would be wasted. So Diesel stepped up again. When payday came and the film's escrow account sat empty, he wired $1.1 million from his own bank account just to cover wages and food. No flashy press release, no dramatic speech, just quiet action. And when it happened again, he did it again. 3 times in total, he bailed the production out of disaster, putting up $3.3 million of his own money so people wouldn't lose their jobs and expensive scenes wouldn't need to be reset from scratch. Those creature effects alone cost $80,000 a day to redo. He wasn't just saving money, he was saving people's livelihoods. But this wasn't new for him. Years earlier, long before Fast and Furious turned him into a household name, Vin Diesel was already laying the foundation for something bigger. In 1995, at 28 years old, he founded One Race Films to protect his ideas and own the characters he brought to life. It wasn't just about acting, it was about ownership. Later, he added Tygon Studios for game adaptations and Racetrack Records for music rights, turning himself into a self-sustaining creative ecosystem. That's why he owns Riddick. That's why he controls XXX. That's why his name shows up on so many credits, not just as a star, but as the architect behind it all. And he's hands-on. In 2010, while other stars were walking red carpets, Diesel was flying coach to Berlin. Laptop in hand, he personally pitched Riddick to 70 foreign buyers at the European film market. He didn't send a team, he didn't outsource it. He showed up, showed the trailer on a tiny screen, and offered to record personal promos for each region. By the end of the trip, he had secured $24 million in pre-sales. That money became the lifeline that later saved the movie when everything else fell apart. He even carried the signed contracts home in his backpack, like a student hauling homework through airport security. That's how invested he was, literally and personally. But behind the action and business moves was something deeper, a friendship that shaped him forever. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker weren't just co-stars, they were brothers in every way that mattered. On Walker's would-be 51st birthday, Diesel posted a throwback photo and called Paul his other half. Their bond crossed cultures and backgrounds, and fans felt it. It wasn't just acting, it was real. The way Diesel spoke about Walker proved that. After the crash in 2013 that took Paul's life, Diesel named his newborn daughter Pauline, saying he felt Walker's presence in the delivery room. That name wasn't a tribute, it was a promise. Walker's daughter Meadow became family too. Diesel became her godfather and stood by her side on her wedding day, walking her down the aisle like a father would. Every Father's Day, she still calls him. Every premiere, she shows up with his family. It's not just public appearances, it's a shared legacy. She even signs emails, MW plus VF. Meadow Walker and Vin's family. There was a moment, the day after Paul's death, when Diesel visited his mother. He thought he was going to comfort her. Instead, she looked him in the eyes and said, "You lost your other half." That line broke him. It also defined everything that followed. Every Fast and Furious film since then carries a piece of Paul, an empty seat, a silent nod, a name on the screen. And behind the scenes, Diesel's voice in "See You Again" whispered more than lyrics. It whispered goodbye. And then there's Groot. 3 words, that's it. Yet those words helped rake in over $6 billion at the box office. Guardians of the Galaxy shocked everyone. Nobody expected a talking tree to steal hearts, but Groot did. Diesel brought him to life with hours of voice work, hundreds of takes, each one tuned to a different emotion. One line, 50 versions. Scared, loving, sarcastic, and he didn't just do it in English. He recorded Groot's voice in over 15 languages, so the tree would sound the same in every corner of the world. Mandarin, Russian, Portuguese, he learned the phonetics of each, all for 3 words. He didn't stop at theaters either. Diesel brought Groot into Disney Plus with I Am Groot, a set of short films that became one of the most rewatched Marvel projects ever released. He even voiced Groot in Ralph Breaks the Internet, something almost no other Marvel actor has done outside the MCU. Between animation, cameos, and mainline films, Diesel's Groot became a global constant. Vin Diesel was 40 when he spotted her across the room. She was 24, tall, glowing, and Mexican by heritage. He later called her his Mayan Queen. That wasn't a PR line. It was a name he whispered privately, and once, just once, he let it slip in a 2014 Facebook post. It's the only public photo of them together that ever made it to his feed. 18 years have passed since that night in 2007. No wedding, no scandals, no messy headlines. They never played the Hollywood game, and maybe that's why they're still standing. While most celebrities show off every slice of their life, Diesel has followed a different script entirely. He's called it the Harrison Ford Code of Silence, a rule passed down like an heirloom from actors who never sold their souls for a tabloid spread. Back in 2006, when asked about his relationships, he smirked and said the public would know about them only if they went through his trash. Even his daughter's birth went unnoticed until he casually said her name on a talk show. No magazine covers, no baby photos sold, no wedding details teased in interviews. When he travels, it's to quiet corners of Europe where nobody chases him with cameras. According to studio insiders, that silence saves him hundreds of thousands in security costs every year. But the quiet extends further. 3 children, born in one of LA's busiest hospitals, never made a splash in the media. All delivered under fake names. Hospital staff signed NDAs. In nearly 2 decades, only 6 family photos have been posted publicly. And yet, his children quietly found their way into the Fast and Furious universe. His daughter Hania lent her voice to a Netflix spin-off. His son Vincent played a young Dom in F9. Diesel says he waited until his 40s to have kids so he could be the kind of father who was actually around. These days, his movie contracts include one firm rule: no filming on his children's birthdays. Some things about Diesel's life are downright unexpected, like the time he struck up a friendship with the president of the Dominican Republic. It began during a scouting trip in 2007. A year later, he appeared in a campaign ad, speaking fluent Spanish and backing Leonel Fernandez on national TV. The ad played dozens of times. It helped swing the vote in the capital. In return, Diesel got more than a thank you. He got honorary citizenship and a real Dominican ID card. Years later, that connection led to a film foundation and even tax breaks that brought Fast and Furious reshoots to the Caribbean. But beneath the tough guy persona, there's something even stranger. Diesel is a full-blown Dungeons & Dragons fanatic. His love for the game goes back to 1982. He still carries a tattered guidebook with coffee stains and notes in the margins. When asked to write a foreword for a D&D anniversary book, he didn't just submit it on time, he handwrote it. On set, he teaches castmates how to play. Judi Dench named her D&D character after him, and he's not done yet. In 2024, insiders confirmed he's pitching a live-action trilogy based on the Dragonlance series. He wants to play Raistlin, a brooding sorcerer. That's who he's always been behind the scenes, a guy who never really left the game table. But just as his personal life stayed out of the spotlight, a lawsuit brought everything crashing back into it. A former assistant named Asta Jonassen filed a sexual battery case in late 2023. She says the assault happened in 2010 during a hotel stay in Atlanta, back when Diesel was filming Fast 5. She says he pushed her onto a bed, pinned her, and forced her hand where it didn't belong. Then, just hours later, she says she was fired. For 13 years, the story remained buried, until a legal window reopened under new California laws. Diesel's team calls it a blatant shakedown. They say she once thanked him in a text and that she accepted a $75,000 settlement for unpaid wages back in 2011. Still, the most serious charges, sexual battery and wrongful termination, remain. The court threw out 4 other counts, but the trial is moving forward. Diesel hasn't made any public statements, not even on Instagram. He's letting his lawyers speak for him. That silence hasn't gone unnoticed. Universal is watching closely, especially after all the chaos surrounding Fast X. Director Justin Lin walked off set just 5 days into filming. One heated meeting with Diesel, and that was it. Lin left the room and didn't come back. The studio scrambled, paused production, and burned through millions before hiring someone new. The budget exploded. The pressure on Diesel mounted. Crew members say it wasn't a one-time blow-up. They've seen it before. They have a nickname for it: Dom's Law. It means things change at the last minute, sometimes without warning, and it usually comes from him. And then there's Paul Walker. Diesel never truly let go. On Walker's 51st birthday, he posted a throwback photo of them racing, captioned like a letter to a lost brother. It broke hearts, got nearly 5 million likes in a day. He's made sure the Fast saga keeps Walker's character alive. No off-screen deaths, no funeral scenes, just memories frozen in time. There's even a deep-fake flashback in the new film, with the family's blessing. Every year on November 30th, the day Paul died, Diesel halts filming, even if it costs thousands, even if it throws off the schedule. He keeps Walker's empty chair on set, as if he might walk back in. And that's Vin Diesel, a man with fame bigger than most, but a life lived in shadows. He keeps his family close, his critics quiet, and his secrets tighter than most vaults in Hollywood. Yet sometimes, even the tightest secrets slip through the cracks.